welcome back to Audio Inside Scoop. Make sure you guys stick around to the end of today's video, guys. This is the first video since we hit 1,000 subscribers, which means I'm going to be announcing our winner for the Klipsch Detroit giveaway. But as far as right now, as far as what's happening today, well, when I covered the Marshall Middleton back in April, it became an instant favorite of mine. To this day, it is still one of my go-to speakers in the household, and that is saying quite a bit considering you guys know all the speakers I have, you've seen them on video. So it is saying quite a bit when I say it came as one of the go-tos in my household. While it was somewhat of an older model when I unboxed it and gave it a listen and a review, it still held up against some of the toughest competition at the time. We did just have this Gen 2 release though, about a month ago though. Today we unbox this Gen 2 and go over the differences between the Marshall Middleton and the Marshall Middleton Gen 2. And hopefully we can help you decide whether it's worth the upgrade if you have this guy, or if it's worth the extra money if you have neither, or if you should buy and stick with the original version. I want to help you guys determine what route is best for you. Before anything though, let's get the Gen 2 out of the box and we can see them side by side and do some listening. All right, so here's what the box looks like from the outside. Then when we get it open, the first thing we're going to pull out is our quick start guide. Next, we're going to have our legal and safety guide. A lot to see on screen, but you can look up these manuals online as well. Next, we're going to have our brand new strap that goes on the speaker, and then we have our USB-C to C cable. And then, the moment you've all been waiting for, here is our Marshall Middleton II. Here's the front, top, here's the back, and the bottom. Here's the front again, and here are the sides. Next, we're going to put on this strap here. And now let's put it next to the Middleton and see if we can spot any differences. Okay, so the first thing that I notice is that I don't really notice much. They look almost identical, except of course that I have two different colorways represented here, but they both come in both colorways. This is the Gen 1, this is the Gen 2, cream here, black here. That said, when you start digging a little bit deeper, there are some subtle and not so subtle items that have changed. The first detail that I did notice is that I kind of love the red inside the strap. It definitely gives it the kind of a guitar strap kind of vibe, which it is Marshall, so I mean that's kind of pretty fitting, kind of right on the nose there. The old black version had a black on black strap. Cream does not have the red on the inside. It's more of a tannish color similar to the old generation. Outside of color though, I actually prefer the material on the old version. It's more of a rubberized feel as opposed to the newer version, which is more of a canvas kind of, almost feels like a toe strap kind of feel. Another subtle difference you'll notice is up top. What was the battery button in the first gen is now the power button in the second gen, which is very welcome. You just press and hold this button to turn it on. On the original version, you would press and hold the toggle here to turn it on, which, while it's not really a deal breaker, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of annoying. Also up top, we do have the addition of this little hole here, which is a microphone. We saw this upgrade in the Middleton II, II, III as well, so I feel like it's somewhat expected, but it's definitely worth pointing out, as it is huge to some people. Lastly, on the buttons, they are also raised to make it a little bit easier to control. It's really subtle from the top over angle, but I'll give you kind of a close up here and you may be able to see it a little bit better, but it's not overly noticeable on camera, but you do feel a difference when touching the buttons themselves. On the sides, we noticed that the woofer slots are in a slightly different arrangement, which probably has absolutely no effect, but it's there, so I thought I'd point it out. When we flip around back here, we will see that the rear has changed as well. In the old gen, we have slots similar to the slide where the woofer is, but in the new gen, Marshall has actually added a grill to the back, so the front and the back match. Also on the back, we'll notice that the ports have not changed. This was actually somewhat unexpected, and it's important to note here because they did not drop the aux port. Almost every company is doing away with this, so it's a really nice sight to see that they kept the aux port in the new generation. One other note is that the footing on the new gen has changed. I can't really say that one is really better than the other, it's just different, so felt the need to mention it here. Next, let's talk some quick specs. As for price, MSRP on the original version was $299 USD originally at release, but this has since gone up and is actually for sale on the Marshall website right now for $319. So that's the price I'm gonna list here. The new version is actually only $10 more at the moment, coming in at $329. As for size, we're looking at 9.06 by 4.29 by 3.74 in the old version versus the 9.05 by 4.33 by 3.86 on the newer version. Very negligible, not really at all noticeable difference here at all. We also see virtually no difference in the weight, with the early version coming in at 4 pounds and the new version coming in at 3.9 pounds. As for battery, here we start to see some differences. The old version claimed 20 plus hours of battery life, which is great, but the new one increases this and shows 30 plus hours of battery. This is a pretty significant increase. Bluetooth has also been upgraded. We had version 5.1 in the old gen, and we have Bluetooth version 5.3 in the new generation. Frequency range on the old version is 50 Hz to 20 kHz. On the new version, we're able to get a bit lower with the specs showing 45 Hz to 20 kHz. Quick specs down, let's get any non-sound items out of the way. Waterproofing in both is the same in each model, with a rating of IP67. Okay, so I'm interrupting myself here for what I find to be a very important note. First off, let me say that I never really stop testing. I am using these things constantly, and between shooting this video and releasing this video, I continue to tinker. This will be one of 2 times I interrupt myself. The next one is on a completely different topic though, so they won't be back to back. This one though, I'm super excited about. We're talking about waterproofing in this gen, and while it's rated the same as the previous gen, there has been a huge improvement. Check this out. When I test the waterproofing on the first gen, it is a brick. It drops right under the water. When I test on the second gen though, it came back up. The second gen floats, guys. I was not expecting that at all. Watch out, JBL, this may be the new boat speaker. I even pushed it and held it under for a couple seconds, and then when I let go, it came back up. I absolutely love this, guys. Anyways, back to what I was saying before. As for colors, we do have the same colors available in both the new gen and the old gen. We have a black and we have a cream option, which we kind of represent both sitting in front of us here. Both have reverse charging capabilities, so you can charge your phone or device with your speaker. You can use your USB-C port on both devices to do this, and this is the same port you use for charging. Next, let's talk about controls and the app. On the device itself, the controls are very similar, and quite frankly, they're awesome. As I mentioned before, the major differences in the device controls between these two models is the dedicated power button up top. But that said, the original Middleton already had probably the best controls in the market to begin with, so the controls being the same is a good thing, not a bad thing. On the top panel, not only can you control volume up and down, but you can track with the toggle here, which is more than most portables on the market today. The only other one that I can think of off the top of my head that does offer track skip abilities is the Beats Pill. But they tried to make it so it could do anything with those 4 buttons up top, and it becomes so complex to use, it almost becomes a negative. With the Marshall, not only is it present, but it's intuitive and easy to use. And then they take those controls even further. You actually have a basic EQ on top of the Middleton as well. You can control your bass and your treble with these top 2 buttons up here. Controls on the Middleton are great. Now, to the app. The app is where you'll see a huge difference between these two models. The original Middleton basically had the app so that you can control the bass and treble, which you can do from the device. And then you had stack mode, which was controlled through the app as well. With the new version, you have several preset EQ options available, as well as 5-band custom EQ option. You have battery preservation settings, which actually seem to be designed to prolong the life of the product, as opposed to just worrying about how long it lasts on that particular charge. And then you have standby settings, so you can change how long it takes for the product to go to sleep after a certain amount of time of inactivity. And then we have our broadcast settings, which I'm actually going to dive into kind of at length here. As you guys may know based on past videos, I do have a lot to say in this department. Multi-speaker listening. With the old gen we had stack mode, with the new gen we have Auracast. Now, I'm about to go on a bit of a long-winded rant, so if you don't care about this particular topic, I'm going to put a timestamp on the screen here. Skip to that time in the video to bypass any of this info. As you guys have heard from me in the past, I was really hyped when Auracast was first announced. Auracast in itself is amazing, but I've been hugely let down with the restrictions that manufacturers are putting on it. I went on a big rant in the Middleton III video with customer support talks and everything, and it was a bit of a mess, but my perspective has actually since changed. Originally, when the Middleton II and the Middleton III released, they did away with stack mode and introduced Auracast. But Auracast was not at all functional in these products. This meant that not only could they not connect with old versions of the product, but they couldn't connect with each other either. At the time, I spoke with Marshall and they stated that basically that this is what it is and they can't connect with old products and they can't connect with each other. Sorry, that's pretty much all I got from Marshall at the time. Now to today. While they still can't connect with each other, the reason I say that this has slightly improved is that they can now see other broadcasts. They still, at this time, cannot broadcast themselves, but they can pick up broadcasts that other speakers are putting out. So they are working on it. I do still see potential, and I see that Marshall is trying and improving and actively improving their product line. I reached out to Marshall again, to which I received this response. Right now, the Middleton II, Middleton III, and Middleton II are equipped with Bluetooth LE audio, which will enable Auracast features in the future. This means that they will be able to broadcast to several speakers at the same time, but this feature is not yet available. Keep an eye on the Marshall Bluetooth app for updates on when this feature will be rolled out. So, what does this mean for us right now? Well, it means I can't connect two Middletons. I can't connect two Middletons to each other. It means that I cannot connect a Middleton to an Middleton or any combination of these models, which it's kind of disappointing. But what I can do is I can receive the broadcast from other products. Check this out. If I enable Auracast on the JBL Charge, not only can I add other JBL speakers into the mix, but if I switch over to the Marshall app, I can search for others that are broadcasting and jump on it like it's a radio station. Here I have the Charge leading the broadcast with a clip and a flip pulling the signal. Then I can jump over to the Marshall app and pull from that same broadcast. All four of these speakers are playing simultaneously. This is amazing. This is what Auracast and LE audio is all about to me. Okay, so here I am interrupting myself again, guys. Talking Auracast and thinking about their ability to receive broadcast kind of gave me an idea. Maybe there's some kind of workaround here that would give you the ability to cast to multiple Marshall speakers at once, and there is, but it is somewhat limited. I reached out to Marshall again with a thought, and here was my reply. With the Middleton II and Middleton III, you're in luck because both of these models are equipped with Bluetooth LE audio, which does support the Auracast features. This means that you can broadcast from your Samsung Galaxy S24, which is what I questioned them about, to both speakers simultaneously. Keep an eye out on the Marshall Bluetooth app for updates and blah, 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 blah. Basically what I found is that if you have a source that has Auracast, which you're basically looking at new Samsung devices, new Google devices, and maybe a handful of others, if you have a device that supports Auracast broadcasting, then you can start the broadcast from your phone or device, listen to the broadcast through both speakers simultaneously or multiple Marshall speakers simultaneously, and you'd be able to maintain or access this functionality of the LE audio of the Auracast features. Basically, if you don't have a device that has broadcast out though, you're kind of SOL at the moment. You're going to have to wait till Marshall releases the update to where they can broadcast from the speakers themselves. Now, I do plan to do more extensive testing with Auracast, but as of right now, all I know is that this is what Marshall claims. Keep an eye out for a video solely dedicated to Auracast because I feel like that may be on the horizon at the moment. Anyways, back to Past Jason with more info on this topic. This is what Auracast and LE audio is all about to me. This is where I see all of these speakers going in the future, and I see that Marshall is trying and constantly improving, and I do foresee them being one of the companies that actually does it right. Anyways, I'm going to end the rant here by saying that it's not quite there yet, but it is improving, and I see a future in Auracast that's pretty exciting. Now let's make the transition into sound. I mentioned quick specs, the frequency range, so let's go ahead and put that on the screen here. Diving more in depth though, let's talk about the drivers and the power. First off, the power has increased in the later gen to 40 watts over the earlier 30 watts. It looks like they are delivering the same amount of power to the tweeter at 10 watts, so that additional power goes to the woofer. Both have two 3-inch woofers, two 0.6-inch tweeters, and two passive radiators. The driver sizes haven't changed between the two gens, but power and output has, and I imagine that they have been retuned quite a bit. Along with the dip in low frequencies mentioned above, we also see an increase in output with the older gen showing 87 dB SPL at 1 meter and the new gen showing 91 dB SPL at 1 meter. Additionally, on the drivers and configuration side, both versions have what they refer to as true stereophonic sound. Basically, what they're trying to achieve here is a 360-degree sound experience. To achieve this, we have a tweeter and a passive radiator combo on the front as well as the back, and a woofer on either side, so the drivers are actually firing in all four directions. Now, Other stuff out of the way, let's finally talk about real sound. Not what's on paper, but what I'm hearing in the room. For our first test, we did our usual pink noise test, which we can see here. Interestingly enough, it looks like the older version is showing louder here, which contradicts the paper specs I mentioned before. With the additional power being sent primarily to the woofers, and with this speaker having the woofers firing from the sides, we may not be getting the full story with this test shooting from a foot away with only the front containing a passive radiator and a tweeter driving directly into our meter here. So here's a second pink noise test. In this one, I removed the acoustic foam from the panel and I pushed the meter to about 8 foot away, which gives us more of a full results of the in-room experience as opposed to the close proximity test that we were doing before. Here we see them being very similar in raw output, which to be honest is more what I was expecting. Now for the actual sound quality in real world listening and what I actually heard listening to these speakers. First, I want to note here though that they are different versions of the same speaker. I'm picking them apart and doing some really critical listening here to come to the conclusions I'm about to share. Both sounded great, and really truly the Middleton in either version is still one of my favorite speakers at the moment. I also want to note that this is at stock EQ on both speakers. I did not adjust it at all. Now, the first thing that I notice is in the new gen it sounds a little bit cleaner. It sounds like the highs are a little bit brighter. It has more of a live presence to it. I notice a better separation of the instruments as well as the vocals, and all of this is really huge for me. I want to feel like I'm there, I want to close my eyes and I want to feel the stage. The first gen has this as well, but I feel like it feels more like it's coming out of a box, if that makes any sense. The first version actually has more presence in the mids though, which I found interesting. I would still tend to lean more towards the second gen though, as I mentioned in the app and control section, this is stock tuning and the second gen has a lot more capabilities to tune and customize to your liking, so you can make it more you. That's about everything, but just in case you're still on the fence between the two, let's go ahead and break it down into our 4 usual categories of our price, our lifestyle, our connectivity, and our sound, and see which one comes out on top there. As for price is a bit of a toss-up, but I'm going to give it to the Gen 1. If you're looking at Marshall's website, you'll see it's only $10 cheaper. $10 isn't enough to slide one way or the other, and if that were the only point of reference, it would be a tie. That said, at the time of me making this video, everywhere I look, it's the same price for the latest gen, which isn't surprising since it just released, but the original you can actually find right now for about $249, so $80 difference there. So if you're looking for the cheapest option, shop around as opposed to buying direct from the Marshall website and get the first gen, it's going to be the price winner here. Lifestyle is going to go to the new gen. The size is the same, shape is the same, waterproof rating is the same, but we do have 10 hours of additional battery life, more in the ease of use department with the raised buttons and the dedicated power button instead of having to hold in the dial, the addition of the microphone, and the more customizable experience within the app. And also appearance-wise, I think the grille on the back is a big improvement over the holes from the previous gen. I like that they added that there. As for connectivity, the new gen is going to take the win, but not by much. Its newer Bluetooth iteration makes for increased battery life, less interference, and better overall quality of the connection, but in most cases you're going to be hard-pressed to tell the difference with these factors. It also has Auracast versus the old stack mode, which in theory, as long as Marshall was being upfront with me, will be better in the long haul. It's just not there yet. Once Auracast's features are fully enabled and we start seeing it implemented, connectivity category will go from a slight win on the newer version to a major upgrade between the two. Now sound. Sound is going to go to the newer gen as well. I would say that I preferred the sound on the new gen about 85% of the time, and anything that was missing during my listenings, I feel like I could have altered the EQ to resolve. Overall, the new gen has better capabilities in sound, and it is more customizable to suit your needs. So, which one is going to be for you? If you want to save a few bucks and still have awesome sound, I would definitely go with the Gen 1. There's a lot to be said. It is an amazing speaker. If you have an older Emberton or Willen and want to use stack mode, go with the Gen 1. If you want a crisper, more live sound, more customizable sound, then go with the Gen 2. If you want a more future-proof technology and you trust that Marshall will deliver on these promises of multi-speaker connectivity, go with the Gen 2. If you need a mic, Gen 2. I think that's all I'm going to have for you guys today. Let me know what you guys would like to see this new version battle. Do you guys want to see it against the Klipsch Detroit, the JBL Extreme? Let me know in the comments below. Also, let me know in the comments below what you guys end up picking. Did you go with the Gen 1 or did you guys go with the Gen 2? I'd love to hear from you guys as well. And once you get it, let me know what you think. Let me know if you like it. Now, to those of you waiting, let's go ahead and cut away to the giveaway video and give away our Detroit. All right, check this out. I was actually able to find a customizable spin the wheel. I thought that was pretty awesome. Anyways, here we go. Let's get a drum roll going. Our winner of the Klipsch Detroit giveaway is Mr. Guitar Man 2757. I'm going to reply to your original comment on the video and I will shoot you an email with more details. Congrats again, you are getting a Klipsch Detroit. Congrats to our winner. Next episode we are going to dive into our Here With Me segment on these Middletons so you guys can hear them side by side. Before you leave today though, make sure you hit that subscribe button to be the first to know when that new video drops. Until next time though, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you again soon.